Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody, and welcome to AWS Security Live. It's your show where we get to talk about all things security, cloud security, you name it, with our AWS partners. I'm one of your co-hosts, Ryan Orsi, and I'm in charge of a team here at AWS known as the Security and Cloud Operations Partner Specialists. We have folks that dive into security, identity, incident response, you name it, we've got it covered with those AWS partners out there. And today I've got one of my favorite co-hosts joining me. Hello, Himanshu.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Himanshu. I lead the team of our security, identity, governance, incident response, worldwide specialists. We help customers with their security outcomes on AWS, either leveraging native AWS security services or our partner tools. And speaking of partners, Ryan, last time we were live was actually live in person.
It was. I think we saw each other in New York, I believe, right?
Yeah. The New York Summit was a very busy and action-packed event. I think one of the biggest announcements, hopefully now we can talk about, was the Bedrock Agent Core portfolio, where now we are helping customers actually run their own agents leveraging AWS Cloud Scale. And these are GenAI agentic agents. I think we talked to a few of partners who were there at New York, helping customers integrate as well as build using some of these technologies.
And don't forget the AWS Marketplace that you may or may not know out there.
Yes.
You can search it on the web just as long as you keep Himanshu and I here in one tab, open another tab, you're okay. There's a new agent marketplace to help you kind of find and see what others are doing with agent-based applications for you.
Yeah, the AWS Marketplace has become an amazing place for our customers to actually go and friction-free operationalize, execute, activate, and track usage of our partner technologies. And I think it's helping partners as well. Like more and more I hear, it's taken away that undifferentiated heavy lifting of doing the operational overhead upfront with deal negotiations and legal constructs, etc. So it's benefits for both our partners and our customers.
Yeah. And before New York, we were together in reinforced Philadelphia, where there was a really cool announcement for AWS Security Hub and some integrations with partners like Tynes. And I believe we've got a special guest from Tynes. Eoin, are you there?
Hey guys, how's it going? Can you hear me okay?
Hey.
Yeah, hey Eoin.
Sorry,
Yes.
I was a little bit hypnotized by your guys' witty repartee. I can't believe this isn't your day job. I'm super impressed. Have me, in all seriousness.
We just love doing it, Eoin. That's all there is to it.
Eoin, for our audiences, tell us a bit more about yourself, your journey, where you are now and what you do. How did you get there? And then what is Tynes?
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for having me. So Tynes is an intelligent workflow platform that helps mission critical teams automate any important workflow, regardless of the use case, technology stack, or objective. I'm the founder and CEO of Tynes, but I would say I'm not your typical software company CEO, as you can probably tell by my hair. Before Tynes, I spent 15 years as a cybersecurity practitioner, so helping to build and run security teams like incident response, security operations, vuln management, application security, those types of teams at companies like eBay, PayPal, and most recently DocuSign. And in 2017, I was running cybersecurity at DocuSign and had an amazing team who knew their jobs inside out. But they were spending more and more of their time responding to the same type of attacks and performing the same types of muck work over and over again. So running out phishing emails, responding to EDR alerts, making sure compliance was within, or infrastructure was in compliance. And they couldn't write the code to automate those tasks. And so, again, because they were security practitioners and not software engineers. And so in 2017, we started looking around for tools that we could buy that would allow these teams of practitioners automate the repetitive parts of their jobs without needing to be expert software engineers. long story short, we couldn't do anything that came close to meeting our requirements. And so in 2018, I found it time really to go and build that product, something that would allow frontline practitioners automate the repetitive parts of their jobs, letting them focus on more impactful work that would lead to more job satisfaction, better outcomes for security teams, and ultimately drive business impact. And that was the genesis of Times. Today, we're about 400 people worldwide. We have offices here in Dublin, where I'm based in Ireland, but we have offices in Boston, San Francisco, and Sydney, Australia as well.
Oh, very cool. An idea born of necessity. That's some of the best ideas out there, right?
Yeah. I often talk to other founders and entrepreneurs who go and solve problems that they hadn't experienced firsthand themselves, right? They just spotted a business opportunity and went after it. I could never do that, right? I had to solve this problem that I felt deeply and innately myself. But 7 years later, I still consider myself a security practitioner. And so I like nothing more than talking shop to our customers and learning about the things that they're working on.
That's amazing, and I think this is the right sort of approach of working backwards from customers and seeing that there's a problem statement that exists that needs to be solved and resolved. I think from what you explained, just going a little bit into Tynes, it seems like workflow automation has been or still is a key component of security outcomes. When we talk to customers, so our teams talk to customers quite a bit, and what we see and ask customers is that, okay, there's a lot of detection tools and primitives that are detecting things, and in the security industry, Ryan and I have a lot of fun with partners around acronyms and buzzwords. We actually usually have a acronym jar, it's called the swear jar, and using some of those acronyms, there's the cloud security posture management, there's the cloud workload protection platforms now. And then it all started with, threat detection and vulnerability management and misconfigurations. And you want to be able to visualize and see everything. But then customers were like, hey, you're just creating more and more detections for me.
Yeah,
and then
thank you for the great visuals, right, Himanshu?
Yeah. And then, hey, and rightfully so, some of the partners, they said, hey, we can aggregate all this stuff for you, but eventually it all comes down to is that somebody has to go take an action, or they have to go and action what was detected, so that they can make sure that it doesn't happen again. And in cloud, especially with CI/CD and DevOps, which is not an acronym, Ryan.
I got schooled though, and we like to call people. You like to have fun with the guess, and if you say an acronym and you don't spell out the acronym within, what do we say? One Mississippi, two Mississippi, and then if you don't spell it out, then you have to pay the swear jar. But I called it on DevOps, developer operations.
Oh.
And the entire internet came down on me. It was like, I don't think so, sir.
So, what we find
you don't have an abbreviation jar, just an acronym jar? Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Once it's in, so anyways, I think we find that in those continuous development cycles, customers need a very faster and an easier way to act on that. So Eoin, where I was going with this is that, we find customers often using ticketing and tooling. Tell us our audience, how Tynes is taking a very innovative approach in that critical term that you use, which is automation. Because you can go and create tickets, or you can create workflows using even AWS services like EventBridge and Lambda or step functions. What is Tynes doing which is so disruptive?
Yeah. Firstly, I love the fact that you're calling out some of the BS, for want of a better term, around these acronyms within security. So I think one of our philosophical beliefs is that it has to be customers and not categories. That's got to be the focus. Like Himanshu, what it comes down to is, if you think about security teams today, they have the most fragmented tool stack of any team in the department. So do you want to guess what the average number of tools a security team has access to today is, on average?
I'm actually writing a paper on this, Ryan, and I think what we are citing is about 80 to 90 tools an enterprise organization has to use.
Totally. And that's growing year over year.
Yeah.
So, you hear a lot about consolidation, but the reality is the amount of tools that practitioners have access to is growing year over year. And there is no world where a human has the bandwidth to access all those tools to collect the context necessary to make a decision. So picture a security analyst today. They receive an alert from some product. It could be guard duty. It could be an endpoint detection and response tool like an EDR tool. It could be a cloud security posture management tool. That alert will have a small piece of context. The reality is that in order to truly determine if that alert represents a real threat or if it's a false positive that can be ignored, that context is contained across a number of different tools, like a company's Active Directory system, or their HR system, or their payroll system, or their firewall logs. And so what has to happen is a security analyst has to go and spend 10 to 15 minutes on average copying and pasting information between these products. What Tines allows these people to do is using a no-code interface or a low-code interface, essentially automate that process end to end. So the alert comes in and Tines connects to any system. We're completely vendor agnostic, collecting the relevant information required in the background without the analyst ever needing to spend time. And either Tines determines with the information that it's collected itself that, yep, this is a false positive. It can be ignored. I'll go ahead and close the ticket. Or, you know what? This represents a real threat. And I either need to escalate to a human to perform some sort of remediation. Or if the workflow is built in such a way, Tines is going to go and automatically perform that remediation. And that remediation could be something like, I'm going to change the access policy on an S3 group. It could be something like, I'm going to quarantine an endpoint, or it could be something like, I'm going to reset the password. But essentially what Tines does is take this vendor agnostic, flexible approach to allow frontline practitioners build the workflow the way their own internal systems and processes operate, allowing them to respond to more alerts more efficiently and allowing them to do more accurate incident response.
And if I heard you right there too, Eoin, human error, right? And the hiring and the attrition process that happens in any company, right? But it's especially with security analysts. I guess you could say I have on the network side been there myself. You get burnout a lot if you don't have something like Tines. You don't have something that actually kind of helps you do your job and kind of keep you in the swim lane. It can get very tiring when the workload keeps piling up and every new request or ticket that comes in, it's 15 to 30 minutes of Command C, Command V all over the place, and the log files are in different formats. And you have all these tools to go from. So I just want to kind of commend you guys that I think you're really helping keep those humans on the rails, and human error can sneak in when there's new hires and the processes of escalating tickets or type of investigation. Maybe the new hire isn't familiar with an escalation process or where a log source should be to enrich the particular finding they're looking at with identity data, and they're looking at a network event, for example. So we've just seen all sorts of, it's people mean well, there's good intentions, but human error can creep in. And I think Tines is also here to help keep that human error, at bay a bit as your organization is continuously just evolving, right? And people will come, people will go. It's just a natural state of things. But
and I think, to give the security industry credit, burnout remains a top priority of CISOs, right? This isn't something that we're casting a blind eye to or taking for granted. We do a survey of SOC analysts and CISOs every year called the Voice of the SOC. And every year, employee burnout, retention of staff. CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, Chief Information Security Officers every year, and SOC is a Security Operations Center. And essentially what they do is they rank these top priorities for them, and burnout and employee retention is a top 5 priority every single year. It's just there's no great answer. Right? There's no silver bullet to these problems, and automation is a good answer, but it's not a silver bullet, right? It's going to help in some ways, but it's not the panacea that we often hear industry and kind of less less honest vendors claim it is.
And I think you hit on like a very important aspect. Like again, like you said, like there's so many terms and terminology in the security industry. There is a security orchestration and automation response platform these days now called SOAR. And I think if we go into that lens.
I mean, is the production crew going to catch you on? I knew it.
Oh no, he defined it up front.
I defined it.
Take the money back out of the jar, Himanshu.
Yeah, exactly. Security orchestration, automation, and response, right? So, and I think what Eoin was like highlighting, which is like, hey, like you have endpoint detection, you have like like vulnerabilities, you have cloud signals coming from services like AWS Security Hub or other tools that you might be using, partner tools. What's important is that the context and the correlation, and then the ability to build on top of these individual findings, which is really where I think the value comes in. What I've heard is that Times is not only doing that, but it's also improving the productivity of the personas like security operation engineers and or like like anybody. Because I think you used this term early on, and correct me if I'm wrong, the low code, no code value proposition, which is you're not going out there and investing in new infrastructure or activating new services to be able to go take actions or like firing up new tools. This is something like like very like you don't even have to run lines of code. You essentially go and orchestrate these workflows. I think this seems like something that we should like see in action.
Yeah, I love it for you guys.
Yeah, I'd like to use it for my job. It sounded too good here, Verma.
Let me show you guys. Might be fun to give you an example rather than kind of talk through it. So how do I do this? All right, awesome. So what you see in front of you here is Times. This is a production version of Times. And what I'll do is I'll actually use a use case that'll be relevant to a lot of people watching here. So again, Times is completely vendor agnostic. We'll take data and alerts from any system, enrich them from any system, and allow you to triage and prioritize and manage those alerts and incidents from any system as well. So what you see here on the screen in front of you is what we call the storyboard. And this is where our customers and users build their automated workflows. And so here we've got an example of an alert coming in from Amazon Security Hub. So we've got an alert coming in using a schema called OCSF, which is the open source messaging for alerts, etc. But the alert comes in and it looks something like this, right? So this is the alert that's coming in. And this is a perfect example of where a product like Times is invaluable. So the alert contains information about a vulnerability, but without additional context from other systems and data sources, I can't really say if this is something that I need to respond to, or I can't reliably say what the remediation effort for this should be, or the remediation action should be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Times to define a workflow that allows me to collect context to reliably and deterministically say, this is something that needs to be responded to, and here's the response efforts that I should take. And so I'm going to, first of all, check if the vulnerability is related to EC2, so related to a system. So I'm, again, using a no-code configuration language in Times without needing to be an expert software engineer to already begin to define my workflow.
This is very cool. I love the interface, by the way, like, where you can actually very quickly go and dive into the details of the open cybersecurity schema framework. Like you can look at the schema in details and then keep defining these workflows. So is it like, like you just dropping in? Is it like going back to like, like how we used to draw flowcharts on a memory board?
So imagine if you've ever used a product like a whiteboarding product like Visio or something like that, this will be really familiar. So over here, you have the basic building blocks of Times workflows. And there's only 8 basic building blocks. So everything that you automate in Times is constructed using just these 8 things. and you drag them onto the storyboard, you connect them together to create this
very cool.
diagrammatic representation of your workflow.
That is
And so
amazing.
it's up to 10 times faster to build these workflows than typical software engineering and so on. And it's much easier. You're not having to worry about deployment. You're not having to worry about log management. You're not having to worry about scalability or security. All those hard software engineering problems are taken care of by the platform under the hood.
Very cool.
And so
we have a user who's actually citing an observation here. Sorry to interrupt the flow.
Sure.
And the user says, I was at a Sierra event a couple of weeks ago. Sierra, by the way, is also one of our security partners. Doing very well on data security, posture management, DSPM, etc. And I think they're interested that it'll be interesting to get more information on what Tines is all about. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm using my analogy of Tines can plug into any tool that is providing these findings and detections. You could probably bring in, and enrich data security posture management findings on top of the open cybersecurity schema event here from Sierra or from any other detection tools.
You are spot on, Himanshu. And I'll plug a capability and a resource we have called the Story Library. So if you go to Tines.com and search for the Story Library, you'll essentially find the largest collection of pre-built security workflows on the planet. And it's broken down by use case and tool. So for our friend here who's particularly interested in Sierra, they'll find sample workflows built by our community and partners and customers that are specifically designed for using Tines with Sierra and other products. So it's a helpful resource a lot of our customers use to both inspire themselves, but also to help them get up and running more quickly.
That was Story Library?
Story Library, correct.
And Ryan, it almost sounds like to me like we use the term run books and playbooks, right? I mean, like security terms. Yeah. And again, this is essentially like a low code, no code run book and playbook. So you're not going in and building event bridge, language writing codes. You essentially go in and build your flowcharts.
Yeah. Exactly right. And the cool thing, Himanshu, is like in this use case here, we're collecting a bunch of intelligence from like the national virus database, and we're creating cases and interacting with Slack. But down in our remediation, one of the things we're doing is like suspending a host. So we are going to, in this case, suspend the EC2 instance. And we're calling the EC2 API directly to do that. But if we wanted to, let's say, hey, as part of our remediation here, or our context collection process, we want to interact with the AWS command line interface, the AWS CLI. All I would need to do is go to my templates here, find the Amazon CLI, drag it into my workflow at any point, drop it in, and connect it up, right? And I've got the AWS CLI that I want to run. I can enter it in here. I can even use AI to help me build the exact ALI or CLI I need to run. But you can see it's as simple as dragging these things in, connecting them up, wiring them, etc. That's not to say we don't have all the enterprise guardrails like version control, credential management, change management, all those things that mission critical processes demand. We've got all the support for those capabilities as well.
This is pretty cool. Yeah, we have a couple other users. Daily Push is actually empathizing with where my head was. He's like, this is a screen for us visual learners, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely. This is like totally. Now, where is this headed towards? I think we hear a lot about like artificial intelligence and generative AI helping customers. I can hypothesize now, you can start using natural language on top of this stuff, and rather than going and clicking buttons and workflows, start typing here's a workflow that I need to create, and very soon you see there's actions being taken. Is that where
I think Owen just was like, but wait, there's more. He scrolled.
I was like, Himanshu's clearly got his hands on our product roadmap or something. No, you're absolutely right, Himanshu, because I think one of the challenges we face is, yes, this product is intuitive and flexible and easy to use, but there's a level of opinions required. I have to know how I want to respond to these event bridges alerts, or I have to know the type of APIs that I need to call and interactions I want to perform. Agents help us unlock a whole new swathe of use cases by taking that necessity away. So I can describe in Tines, you'll notice that one of the building blocks is an AI agent. So we believe that autonomous agents are a critical part of a lot of workflows, are going to be a critical part of a lot of workflows going forward. But they also need to be combined with other automation tools like deterministic workflows and human in the loops. For mission critical workflows, it's not going to be one or the other. It's a blending of all three capabilities. But the beauty of autonomy and agents is going to be, I can use the agents to help guide the reasoning required to perform the automation. So instead of me having to define in exacting detail exactly how to respond to the alert, I can give the agent instructions, and I can say something along the lines of, you're an expert in OCSF findings. Go and correlate this with the National Virus Database without needing to know exactly how to do it or have an opinion. And then I can connect it to an agent below that related to creating a case, right? So I can say, go and create a case with the important information without having to define how the case is formatted, what's important, what the prioritization can be. I get to use the LLM within the agent to help define and guide those steps. And then when I'm happy, I can even decide to take the autonomous agentic steps that have been performed and convert them back into a deterministic workflow, making it fast, efficient, and really cost effective.
Very cool.
We got a question from a user here, folks. If Tines is powered by AWS, looks like Perfective. I can't pronounce that fast enough.
Yeah. So, absolutely. So we have 3 ways to deploy Tines. So you can deploy Tines completely self-hosted, running on your own infrastructure. About 80% of our customers run in our hosted cloud, which is all powered by AWS. You can also procure Tines through the AWS marketplace. So we are extraordinarily well partnered with AWS right across the stack in terms of how we host our infrastructure, how we interact with AWS services, but also how you can procure Tines as well.
Well, I'll say, Eoin, in terms of a close partnership, that's where my day job actually is, folks. It's not being on Security Live. We're supposed to be out with partners working on strategy and cybersecurity out there in the wild. And as AWS develops new services or new features, like AWS Security Hub just got a whole new set of features loaded into it, Tines was right there with us even before the announcements were made, right? And those are the kinds of things you can look forward to, folks, with Tines and AWS. Is we're sort of behind the scenes together, right? As roadmap is being developed and even ideated, it's really important to be thinking about what are individuals going to do behind the other side of the glass. How do we make their lives easier, their jobs easier? What can we automate? And I really like that that's what we're doing together here, Eoin.
We might have to get Eoin very quickly back here because my imagination is like just going off the charts there.
You can see
AWS Security Hub is just like one of the entry points. If you imagine, as we are moving towards agents, we have security incident response, which is an AWS service where we actually tell customers to go execute runbooks and playbooks, right? AWS security incident response will be a natural place to bring in something like Tines because it's ultimately, Eoin, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole mission here is to reduce the mean time to response in the fastest, easiest, and the simplest fashion.
Absolutely nailed it, Himanshu.
And Eoin, it's been a pleasure having it. One quick question before we let you go. What was for dinner last night?
What did I have for dinner last night? So I was babysitting my 3-year-old nephew. So it was the extremely adventurous chicken nuggets and French fries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, I see this bookshelf behind Eoin, and I'm like now I'm curious, hey, well, what's going on, Eoin? Any recommendations that you have for our listeners? What you're reading these days?
Oh, wow. So as you guys can clearly tell, I need all the help I can seeming intelligent. So I surround myself with these books. No, one collection of short stories I read very, very recently is called Everyone's Still Here. Extraordinary book of like 6 short stories, quite short, but it's about it's about growing up in Ireland during the Troubles. So the Northern Ireland, Republican Ireland Troubles. Incredible piece of work. So I'd recommend that.
All right.
Owen, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Everyone, we'll be right back with more Security Live. I don't know if we can ever replace that jingle, Himanshu.
No, I don't think so.
It's so good. Welcome back, folks, to more Security Live with your 2 co-hosts here for your 30 minutes together or so. We stream this show to you live every other Tuesday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time. This show is all about security, cloud security, all types of security. My particular job, I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Orsi. I run a team here of partner specialists, and we run around the world working with software companies, consulting companies, global system integrators, managed services providers, and we work with them to design and develop sort of the next age, next era of security solutions that we think all of you need out there, because you might have heard Amazon's a little bit of a customer-obsessed organization. By the way, I've got my other favorite co-host here, Mr. Himanshu. Hello,
Hey,
sir.
speaking of customer obsession, yes, indeed, I lead a team of our worldwide security, identity, and governance specialists who cover all native AWS security services, including the latest and greatest security incident response service as well. And we talk to customers all day, every day, working backwards from their needs and requirements for security outcomes, and then help orchestrate those outcomes either using AWS security tools or our partners and their offerings.
Yeah, we were just together, I believe, Himanshu, in New York at the AWS New York Summit. And I have to say, most popular conversation topic, obviously, AI, agent-based AI, or agentic AI. How do I secure this? How do I use it for security use cases?
Yeah.
We have a special partner coming on right about
now.
Yes.
New York Summit was an action-packed event, and we had a lot of key announcements come out, especially in the AI area. Like Swami was on the main stage, and he announced and launched the Bedrock Agent Core service, which now helps customers create agentic AI agents, from a managed service. And speaking of partners, we do have one of our key partners here helping customers in this same space.
Matteo from DXC. Hello, sir. Welcome to Security Live.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's a not sunny day in London as usual, so it's fine.
Been there many times. I've got maybe 2 sunny days out of it, but they're all good times, Matteo. They're all good.
Yeah. You enjoy the sunny day. Really enjoy them when there are.
Yeah, Matteo, thanks for joining. Tell us our viewers, how did you get to where you are today, and what do you do, and what is DXC Technology all about?
Yeah, well, I am Matteo Malagnino, and I'm the cloud cloud offering lead. Sorry, that was an old job. You asked me about my story, and then I was messing around. So I'm the cloud offering lead for cloud security offering lead for DXC, and AI security offering lead. So where do you want to know where I started my journey in cybersecurity? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's hear it.
About that. Yeah, well, that was starting a long time ago. It was like 20 more years ago. And I started my journey. I moved from Italy to UK just for cybersecurity and to start to work in cybersecurity. That was at the really cusp in Italy at that time, while now instead is, of course, something that is really evolving everywhere and the need is everywhere. In DXC, as an offering lead, of course, I have the responsibility of building the offer with our partner and the offering that we will go together to our customer on offering the best possible solution around cloud security is my domain, and AI security. As you were mentioning about AI is on the mouth of everyone. It's like everyone talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Everyone is talking about it, and everyone is concerned about it, which is like a funny story. They can be really, really great concern, really absolutely nice concern, and then really like science fiction concern. It's like, and so there is the hype thing at the beginning.
For a lot of our audience tuning in, and my visual reference of DXC goes to you guys sponsor one of my favorite soccer clubs, Manchester United. So I see that on the jerseys all the time, and I'm like, but tell our audience what is DXC Technology actually other than a sponsor for Man U?
Well, we are also a sponsor for Ferrari, just to,
there you go.
just to clarify. And DXC Technologies is, of course, one of the biggest GSI in the world, right? And from a security perspective, we have more than 3,200 people working, cybersecurity specialists working in DXC globally. 200 more that they work on incident response only globally. We have more than 12 SOC operating on a 24/7 in every region and expanding, of course. And the nice part of DXC, and I joined DXC a couple of years ago, but I have vendor experience. So my experience were all about vendors like you guys. I wanted to be on the other side of the system integration because I was vetting partner. I was like doing the job of Ryan and Himanshu and saying, okay, how can we be better? And then I wanted to see how to be better and evolve in that space. So the nice part of DXC is that is one of the only company, let me say, one of the few company that can really provide an end-to-end solution to our customer, where security sits as part of everything. Security is really a fundamental, it's not only secure by design as a magic words or tricky words around. It's literally like something that we embed in every service that we offer to our customer, every solution that we offer to our customer, from AI to mainframe to on-prem, and probably not many people knows, but we protect and we run the major system on the planet for everything. I mean, for really secure environment, healthcare, manufacturing, highly secure environment, so on. So we have to be careful also about lots of governance, like we were talking before with Ryan and everything. So it's like it's about everything. So AI is a specific topic. It's really, really on the cusp.
Very, very cool. And I was just looking at some of our studio hosts here. We skipped through an acronym alert, here. So GSI help Matteo, our customers.
GSI is a global system integrator. Yeah,
and very, very helpful global system integrators who are helping customers with their security outcomes as well. We hear from customers all the time, and we were just talking on a previous session that there's on an average, just in security use cases, 70 to 80 tools that a customer has to leverage and use, and that'll be a place where partners like yourself and DXC can help orchestrate these things together.
And not to mention the concerns there too, right? In AI, Matteo, I'm not sure the meetings you're having. The meetings I'm having range from, am I going to remain compliant with a certain government regulation if I accept AI into my environment, all the way over to, is this a human extinction event? It goes very science fiction to regulatory compliance. But where should we start? I'd love to know sort of what is top of mind for you and where you're sitting.
So just a funny story, because I was coming out of a customer conversation a couple of days ago, well, yesterday or 2 days ago. It was like, I want to protect AI. Give me security for AI. And I was like, ooh, Where should we start from? What do you mean, first of all?
Absolutely.
Are you talking about your data? You're talking about what kind of AI? Are you building your AI initiative? Are you adopting AI for your B2C customer, or is it B2B, or is it an internal AI adoption, or are you just using ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, and everything? Or are you leveraging AWS with Bedrock and everything, and then we have to have CloudGuard in place, and where is this AI? What it is? So the main concern is for sure nowadays is around, we have to make a differentiation. I always tell everyone. There is AI for cybersecurity, which is a great concept, AI tool or AI initiative for cybersecurity. So to better make sure that we find threat, we discover, we get that sort of hyper automation capability, hyper Google kind of things, right? So we enhance human capability of threat hunting and everything thanks to AI, and speed as well. So we respond fast, we prevent, even we can extend ourselves to prediction, which is like the North Star of everyone nowadays when it comes to AI. And then there is securing AI.
There's like a Tom Cruise movie about that.
And then there's securing AI, where securing AI is securing AI initiative. 70 to 80% of AI initiative are blocked by security concern. Well, there is a dichotomy. It's like ROI and security concern. That's what, let's say, the market says. But the reality is that if you read really the report, 30% is ROI out of that 100% of 70%, and 70% is security concern. So nowadays, of course, security concern, because we don't have still, I would say, a mature governance from a regulatory perspective. We have framework. We still have framework. We don't have regulation. And we cannot have too many regulation at the minute, probably. But there is someone else that is thinking about it. I mean, if you read the AI Act is like prohibited AI, that's Skynet, right?
the science fiction part we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
And then, of course, the main security concern is making sure that when we run an AI initiative within our customer, or when we make sure that the AI adoption or the AI adoption rate is increasing to our customer, we need to tackle that initiative as a journey, as we did with cloud at the end of the day. Cloud and cloud security, they are a journey, right? AI and AI security, they have to be a journey. They grow together. We cannot forget security by design at the beginning, and we are not talking about CI/CD pipeline hygiene or anything around model security or model poisoning or transversal activity or whatever. No, we are talking about really securing the code that we are building, because all these initiatives, of course, are starting with a pivotal approach. With let's see where we can get to. Let's see what we can do. But having a baseline and a framework and that's where we help our customer, of course, to have a framework where they can adopt safely or on a journey approach, the AI, starting from an embryonic perspective, going to a big AI project and a big adoption, that's 100%. Another point is when it comes to data or adopting AI as a hybrid automation for workplace, let's say, right? So, I mean, adopting AI as my workplace force. Well, that's a bit different when it's more when there is a data strategy that has to be put in place. As I always say, you cannot be concerned today about exfiltration of your data if you have not still finished your data security journey, right? And I probably said CI/CD, so continuous improvement, continuous deployment. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and hey, Matteo, to that data perspective, that's a good one to kind of for folks to understand, right? If they plan on customizing the underlying model of whatever AI application they're using, then it's a data security, data protection, data strategy in general. Where is the data located? Who has access to it? Is there anything sensitive that's in there that could trigger, regulatory compliance flags? which is the more traditional conversation, just about a data strategy, I would say, right? But what is it that's different about AI that we tend to get into these conversations that I think you're telling us you're having the same conversations that Himanshu and I are having, which is there's just a general confusion cloud of like, hey, I want to bring AI into my company, and I'm worried about what data is where. It's actually fairly well contained, right? And it's just a traditional data strategy you have to employ. When you get into agent-based AI, where agents are not located within your particular vendor's environment or DXC's environment, then maybe things get a little more complex. But
Absolutely.
how do you feel about that, about data in general?
Well, the problem of so you are spot on. My concern in that case with the data is that unfortunately there is not still that maturity in the market within our customer where to be concerned about. So there is an evolution going really, really fast, which is AI, agentic AI, and so on. And there is still some gap to fill, which is really, really, really bad. So probably I move my hands and my lights in the office that just just so that's why I was talking about. Yeah, okay, we are talking about what you are saying about agentic AI, accessing data, how this data is utilized, what kind of data am I sharing, am I oversharing? Is my data exposed to potential learning of module around? So it will be used as a training data. What kind of problem there are? Yeah. So we need of course, and then there is the other problem, which is the protecting my model, the one that I'm building, my intellectual property, right? Mm-hmm. So those models, they need to be treated as intellectual property. Think about AI for healthcare, or think about something that you can poison a model by just ruining that model. But well, hopefully you cannot poison the model. But let's say that if you poison the model,
the attack vector would be data.
Yeah, model. Exactly. Model poisoning is a technique that, of course, is there to make sure that from a prompt you can poison the outcome of what the model will give you. Just for the audience, I know that you know that better than I do. But at that point, you have a response on an X-ray, for example, performed by someone and being hinted by an AI that will give you a bad
you go for a carpal tunnel X-ray, and they tell you, "Sorry, Matteo, we're going to have to take the arm."
Correct.
It's all about the way the data is getting interfaced and interacted, right?
Absolutely.
Brian, to your point, yes, there's all this anxiety, but I think I say, like, if you go back to the basics, right, which is like least privilege access, encrypt your data everywhere. But there are some nuances when we talk about securing the AI, and to Matteo's point, I think we usually see customers categorizing these things into three big buckets. The first one being, to your point, Matteo, I want to adopt AI. Can I do it securely? I want to make sure my employees use it for productivity, my business uses for creativity, and can I do it securely? The second part is where we see customers saying, hey, I want to use it for actually security outcomes. I want to use it for automation. And our previous partner and guest from Tynes was referring to this, which is, hey, how can you use agents for security automation or outcomes? And then the third one is, protecting against some of these threat vectors or attack vectors that we see, like, that are powered by AI. Like, I think the latest what we call advanced phishing attacks that are going on, where somebody's impersonating as the C-suite, calling in to have users take privilege actions. Like that's so those are the three big buckets where we see like these things fall in. And Matteo, what I'm hearing is that you can help our customers, and DXC can help our customers build this framework by doing an assessment of where and how they should start and think about this journey. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Assessment are key components of every journey approach, right? Take cloud security, take securing AI, take everything. When it comes to securing AI, and you were summarizing a really, really broad topic. Securing AI is everything from data to securing the model, to securing the pipeline, to securing the code. Assessment is a key component of it. So making sure that we assess the application that you're building, you assess the adoption that you're doing for a specific thing. We assess what kind of, and then we meet you where you are, because we want to solve one major issue. Security cannot be the stopper of an evolution, right? Somehow.
It's not the Department of No.
Right? Yeah, that was happening in cloud, if you remember, at the beginning of our cloud work, right? Security was always there to say, no, I'm not going to move to cloud. I'm not going to move to cloud. Then they suffer that. CISOs suffer. So Chief Information Security Officer.
Ooh, very nice. Thank you. Thank you. And hey, Matteo, so in terms of an engagement, right? So if someone's listening, they're running a company, they're part of a company, and they're thinking AI adoption in my company or using a security tool that has AI capabilities in their company is something they're just like really unfamiliar with. What does the engagement look like with your offerings at a DXC there? Is it they could literally ring you up, get Matteo and his team, and you'll give them a couple hours like assessment or at least a conversation? Does it start with a conversation? Does it start with an assessment?
It's more complicated than calling just Matteo. I mean, that's 100%. And please do not pop up my number on the screen.
Let's put a mobile phone across the bottom, please.
No, it's not. But well, basically, of course, as I said at the beginning, DXC is an end-to-end global system integrator. So it's providing an end-to-end strategy. So all our AI vetted initiative with our customers, so the customers that are using our service to build their own initiatives, so adoption, building a project for their own AI and so on. They have our team, our cybersecurity team, backing up our initiative, making sure that they confront with us, they involve us in the during the deal, during the project phase, and so on. And that's the same for our modern work area, which of course is using and adopting modern workplace technology for AI, which we define our strategy in terms of cybersecurity, and then we provide on top services. When it comes instead to customers that are not let's say an end-to-end customer of DXC, but our security customer, that's where we go there and say, okay, what kind of initiative are you doing on the AI? So it's part of our conversation, of our daily conversation with the CISOs. What I'm finding a bit weird lately, and that's something that is good, and that's the maturity problem, the maturity of the market at the minute, is that some CISOs are also the CAIO, so Chief Information Officer and Chief AI Officer, which is like, why? So why this is happening? And that's really interesting, yeah. And so the conversation there goes much smoothly, as you can imagine, because of course the main concern is security, but then the main concern is also adoption in that case, and that's where, let's say, that friction will not happen. At that point, when we are engaged with the customer, we have a variety of solutions. Depending on where the customer is building his own AI initiative, if he's building on Bedrock, if he's building that on AWS, leveraging AWS data, or is building on-prem, or, there are customers who are, of course, they have to be on-prem and they're leveraging on-prem initiative and so on. We can adapt the kind of assessment or the kind of approach on understanding what we need to protect, what we need to advise first to the customer. The intervention, let me say, is a bad word saying intervention, but then the course of action.
I think there's like a sign of your name.
Yeah.
We love you when you walk into the living room.
Totally. Exactly. It's like the course of action is more like, let's see what you have at the minute. Let's see also from an application security perspective. That's really the basic. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's an app behind the thing. That's an app security problem sometimes. Or it could be something more complicated, like, okay, but how are you protecting your model? Are you using a model HSM? I know that is a bad acronym, but let's call it more than HSM because everyone call it like
HSM, I think that's a Himanshu Verma thing. You were involved in that sort of a thing back in the day.
And then of course that's where and then we can even extend to making sure to do our like services for penetration testing, making sure that we discover if there are some vulnerabilities within the code, some potential of model poisoning, and so on and so on and so on. So it's a matter of
you do that penetration testing against the AI application itself, like targeting.
Well, yeah. We are seeing requests around that. Some sort of course, is something that is new. Is something that is quite new. Of course, let me be honest. Sometimes you need also to make sure that because some customer they will come and say, "I do a penetration testing on my AI. You can see if there is a model poisoning around." It's like, yeah, it's not really.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't really work like that.
But
you can check.
Your folks in the penetration testing on AI, they have to think like the attackers, obviously, right? They have to think like the bad people, and they have to get very, very creative, I would say, right? I mean, I don't know if anyone out there, if anyone out there, comment if you have you tried a model poisoning attack sequence? You have to get very creative, right? And even
to be really super creative. Let me say that now there are different patterns that are repeatable, because of course, I mean, no around Nova, no around anything that is AWS, they are great, but of course there is also some distillation around, from a model perspective and so on. So it's quite, there are already some patterns that are repeatable patterns, but that's at that point, you have to be absolutely a professional and creative professional. That's why I'm always a big advocate of saying, hey, now we have the maturity of calling like something that was called MDR, Managed Detection and Response, CDR, Cloud Detection and Response. When you need cloud specialists to do detection and response, cloud security specialists, it's different to do cloud security and to do typical security. With AI, that would be the same.
And Matteo touched on a key aspect here, Ryan. I think maybe a topic for another day. Penetration testing, traditionally as known as like trying to go in and doing some black box validation with red teaming, etc. That has changed completely with how we now view it with artificial intelligence and some of these foundational models coming in, and especially with the continuous development lifecycle in the cloud. And is that something, Matteo, DXC is helping our customers with as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We help our customer with activity of any kind, from red teaming to advanced vulnerability assessment for any kind of initiative, including AI, of course. I mean, when it comes to AI, the vulnerability assessment has to be different. Not only the red teaming, but even starting from the basic, everything has to be different. I'm a big advocate from an offering perspective. What we do is like making sure that we tune what we were simplifying at the beginning, Ryan, when we were saying, data, or with Himanshu, we were saying data is the basic. Yeah, it's true, absolutely. But that's simplified to a big audience. But data analysis or data security for AI is different than data security for endpoint.
100%.
It's like CDR is different, cloud detection response is different than managed detection response. EDR, endpoint detection response is different. So, and then that's exactly the same thing that is happening in AI. We are learning. Don't get me wrong. Everyone is still learning. Yeah, we are still learning, and every day is a new battle. Every day is something new happen. But
I'm glad you and that large team are on top of it, though, Matteo.
Yeah,
yes. Of a global system integrator, a GSI.
That's right. And Matteo, before we wind down the end of our segment here together, important journalistic question for you, sir. What's a typical breakfast like?
I should say English breakfast, but I'm Italian, so it's like cornetto and cappuccino.
See, like Matteo is an Italian in London,
So maybe you switched over to the full back bacon, the beans, the tomatoes.
They're great. My daughters, they love it. So they're watching me, so they love it, but I don't. I'm sticking to the.
I think we have a special fan with the comments here from the audience. That is my dad. I think
Yeah, well, Alicia and Camila watching me from my.
Well, Matteo from DXC, thank you so much for joining us, sir. Until next time, we'll be back, folks, with more security.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye.